Welcome back to the Final Furlong podcast. Emmet Kennedy alongside former jockey William Kennedy. No relation. Previewing the big betting races of the weekend for Saturday, beginning with the Virgin Bet December Gold Cup Handicap Chase. 12 runners over 2 miles, 4.5 furlongs on the new course at Cheltenham. And we'll start with favourite Thunder Rock, around about a 7-2 shot as we record for trainer Ollie Murphy and jockey Sean Bowen. He brings really strong course form into this race and very strong second season novice chase form, having finished third to the Real Whacker on New Year's Day at the track. Same position behind Jerry Colomb in a Grade 1 at Sandown. And then after disappointing behind the two of those at the festival over probably a trip that just stretches him out a little bit too far, his most recent runs are second to That's All Right Gino and beats Malar Mission. Of course, those two would go on to be first and second in the Hennessy or Coral Gold Cup last time out. Nice profile, good form. What do you think of him, William Kennedy?
Oh, I think he's got a great chance. I really like the horse. I've always liked him. I was up at Ayr last year when he got beat by That's All Right Gino, and I was cheering him up the home straight. I thought he had a great chance that day, and it was slightly disappointing to see him go down, but he went down fighting, and obviously the form of that race, and it has been franked hugely since.
Just a tad.
Yeah. I thought it was a really good performance then up at Carlisle on his first run this year. He jumped particularly well, and showed a great attitude to get on top of Mariner Mission and win quite impressively, really.
Yeah, I thought so. Definitely Malar Mission is better over further, but there was an awful lot to like about that performance. Let's take a look at the Proform pace map for the race. There should be a good pace on here. Monmoral, Fakir Duderie, Ferrero Bamboo, and Do Your Job all like to get on with it. You could argue Thunder Rock might do the same thing, although I'd imagine Gavin Sheehan is going to take a lead behind the leaders, set in and try and get him into a good rhythm, up with the pace early on, but take a nice lead. How do you see the race being run?
I think look, I mean, any of these top handicaps at Cheltenham, there will be a lot of pace into the race. There's no doubt about it. But I think Thunder Rock is pretty versatile, and I think Sean will just get a nice lead and get him into a nice jumping rhythm, fourth, fifth, sixth, something like that, and just follow away. I think he's a pretty straightforward horse that way, and I think the way the race will be run will suit him.
Yeah, if there's a negative, he probably lacks scope. That's something Ollie Murphy has referred to and said he wouldn't be afraid going back over hurdles if things don't quite work out well with him. Same could be said about Monmoral as well. I know Paul Nicholas has mentioned that in the past. Ella McNeil, who was on the Final Furlong podcast on our first Owners and Trainers episode, sounded very, very bullish about Thunder Rock and indeed 300 through 5, who we'll talk about in a few minutes as well. She's also got a lot of her and her dad and the syndicate she runs, Chelsea Thoroughbreds. They've got some very exciting horses to look forward to. So you can hear Ella's thoughts right now on the podcast feed. It's directly underneath this episode, or watch on YouTube and get to know those very exciting horses, particularly for the Cheltenham Festival. But she was also saying that Paul Nichols was sounding ridiculously bullish about Monmoral and was saying he would confirm form with Thunder Rock. Obviously, these two are going to clash. Nichols has got a 24.53% strike rate with runners having their first run after a wind up, and a 19.5% strike rate with horses coming back off a break of 150 days or more. The fact that Harry Cobden chose him so far out for this race is surely a big vote of confidence for him.
Yeah, huge vote of confidence with that. But these horses, Thunder Rock and Monmoral, have met twice, and they've finished in front of each other in each occasion. So they're 1-1 in that sphere. But Monmoral obviously has got some pretty decent form behind the Real Whacker and John Bon. But I don't know. I think there's a little bit more substance to Thunder Rock's form, and I mean, statistics with Paul Nichols and wind ups. I mean, he pretty much gives everything a wind up. So every horse he runs that wins franks that statistic. So I don't know if I can be hugely interested in that one. But
does a 24% strike rate actually bode well when every horse gets a wind up?
It's kind of my point. I mean, I'm not trying to knock it. It works for him, and it's worked for him for a long time. And he changed everybody gets them now, and I think Paul Nicholls was not the first person to ever do it, but I think the frequency in which he does it had definitely opened everyone's eyes, and now you see so many trainers do it more often, and it definitely has to be a positive. It's worked for him for many years now, so I'm certainly not going to knock it. But yeah, that statistic, with it being so many, I'm not sure I can really read hugely into that.
Yeah, take that one with a grain of salt, if you like. He does have a touch of class, though. He was second to former champion hurdle winner Epatante in the entry hurdle, and finished, of course, in front of Thunder Rock, as we said, on New Year's Day. Paul Nicholls was saying in his Racing Post Stable Tour at the beginning of the season, this is early November, that the plan was to run him early in the new year. Now, that's only a few weeks away, so it's not like they've massively moved him forward months in his campaign. But he was talking about the fact that he had a little bit of a setback. He was on the walker at the time, so it's not like he was in full work, and yet he's been thrown into this race. And he was making the point in that stable tour that his form behind John Bond, the real whacker, and Jerry Colomb makes a mark of 145 look well handicapped, and now he turns up for a Premier Handicap. So we're getting a fair idea as to why this horse has been put into this race and why Harry Cobden has chosen to ride him over his stable companion who's got really strong course form.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a fan of Il Ridotto. I mean, it's obviously a huge vote of confidence that Harry's gone for Monmoral, but I wouldn't write off Il Ridotto's chances in this race either. He wouldn't be the first jockey to have got it wrong. I'm not saying he's going to, but yeah, Il Ridotto is certainly not without a chance here, is he?
No, absolutely not. And by the way, you could argue Monmoral has a very similar profile to Clan de Sobo, although Clan de Sobo had more experience when he finished second in this race in 2017. But even Clan de Sobo got beaten in this race before going on to win multiple King Georges. As you mentioned, Il Ridotto, 22% strike rate for Bryony Frost at the track. He's got that very, very good form. By the way, the other point about Monmoral, he would bid to be the first winner since 2005 to have not won over the distance yet. And he's gone close, but still, that's just another point in Thunder Rock's favor. Your thoughts, though, on Il Ridotto, to expand on him?
Well, I mean, he beat Fugitive around here. I mean, Fugitive's been a lot of people talking about him for this. I personally can't really have him. I think he's sure to put in a good performance, let's say, but I just think there's horses that will improve past him. It's a good run behind Stage Star in the Paddy Power, but yeah, I think he's got to take a step forward again, and I think he's maybe handicapped to the hilt, really.
Yeah, weight is weight's a bit of an issue. I'll expand on that in a second as well. So is that the reason you're favouring Il Ridotto, because he's carrying the lesser weight?
Yeah, well, he's getting £5. I think it's £5 off Fugitive. He's getting more, and I just think yeah, I'd have Il Ridotto certainly above him, and it brings him straight into the mix. I mean, 10.9 is a lovely weight for Il Ridotto around here over course and distance. He loves it.
Yeah, I'd agree with a fair bit of that. I like Fugitive an awful lot more than you do. He's a class act. He does have the chunk of weight to carry, and that's definitely a concern. But it's surely only a matter of time before he wins one of these big races. Like, he travels so well in the Paddy Power Gold Cup for a long, long way. That was in first-time cheek pieces. It was just until they rounded the final bend, that's when he cried enough. And maybe he just needed his first run of the season. But to my eyes, he looked to be traveling better than Stage Star up until that final turn. He's 4 lengths behind Il Ridotto, but he's £6 better off with them in the context of this race. I would give him a fairly strong chance today of at least being in the frame. The positive for both of them is that they've lined up in the Paddy Power Gold Cup, and that's produced 5 of the last 6 winners of this race. And a lot of the horses who came out of that race to win this actually didn't really finish too well. Frodon was 10th. Guitar Pete had been 9th. Frodon runner-up before going on to win this race. Warthog for David Pipe was 3rd in 2019. And Cool Cody fell in the Paddy Power Gold Cup before coming on to win this race a month later. So certainly their prep run is ideal for this race. It's just which of the two is going to be better suited on the day. Possibly Il Redondo, I would agree with you on that, but I think Fugitive will be very difficult to knock out of the frame.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure he will win a big prize like this. I think he's a very good horse that I think the way he races always leaves him subject to something finishing off. He won when he won at Cheltenham. He sort of just grinded out for run, held on, but he's now up in grade. And when you go up into that better grade, I always just think he's liable to something catching him.
Yeah, and it could very well be a second season novice chaser who might just be ideal for him. Il Redondo's 4 best speed figures have all come at Cheltenham, and maybe there's an argument that the switch to the new course will suit Fugitive a whole lot better. It was the new course at Cheltenham when he was 2nd at the festival. He's run very well there before, and that greater emphasis of stamina on soft ground, that might help him a little bit as well.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't disagree.
He's interesting. Fakir Duderie is very interesting as well. Classy horse in his day. But this is where the weight comes in. This is a massive task off 12 stone. Only one horse since 1974. 19 dickety-doo, as Grandpa Simpson would say. Pendle has carried more than 11 stone 10 to victory. That was Frodon in 2018. Only 2 horses since 1997 have won off a mark of 150 or higher. On the plus side, likes the ground, goes well at this time of year, and runs very well fresh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be a really impressive performance like this. Like you said, all your statistics are there to be broken, and he's just a class act in the race, really, isn't he? He just brings graded form and lumps of it, and like you say, this time of year suits him fresh, ground trip, everything in his favor, lumps of weight, but God, he's been a superstar of a horse, and I mean, he feels like he's been around for absolutely ever. He's only 8.
Yeah, it's mad. I remember him winning the Arkle trial at Cheltenham back in the day, and that does feel like 17 years ago. He's been a remarkable racehorse, but he finds himself in this position mainly because he just is not quite the horse he was. But I don't think he was in this until very, very late, like less than 5 minutes before declarations closed late. So it's an intriguing one. But that weight is quite a burden. Emmet Mullins has got another runner for JP McManus. He's already landed 1 British valuable handicap so far this season. So Scottish, really interesting runner in the first time tongue tie. I imagine he's not going to be suited by the ground though.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping you were going to shed a little bit more light on him for me, because I can't say I have got loads to go on with him. He's a decent second behind Boot Hill around Ascot, but yeah, I couldn't really see him winning this. I just couldn't see him being good enough. I mean, how would you question Emmet Mullins and Mark's obviously riding him, but yeah, I wasn't sure he had the right profile for this race, really.
Yeah, it was the fact that he was coming over for it and that Mark is riding him is the thing that was attracting me to him, because surely Mark could have been riding Fakir if you wanted.
Exactly, yeah, it makes complete sense, and it's a huge nod to the horse. But other than that, I wasn't sure why you would be like really positive about him.
Yeah, I don't see it, but then again, it is Emmet Mullins, and he just performs absolute wonders on the racetrack. Of the bigger price horses, anything that really stands out to you?
Maybe Torn Frayed for Twistons. Never really mistake early, and never went in the Paddy Power before he fell. Obviously, Twistons does really well around Cheltenham, and this horse some really decent efforts before a pretty long layoff before he ran in the Paddy Power. I just wondered if he had no ill effects from that. I couldn't see him winning it now, but I could see him running a decent race.
Yeah, I tried to be really clever and smart and find something at a big price, but I'm not clever and I'm not smart, so I couldn't find anything. But I want to be with a second season novice chaser. We've seen Jerry Colomb win the Down Royal Champion Chase. We've seen Stage Star and Not Long Till May finish first and second in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. We've seen That's All Right Gino and Maller Mission fight out the finish and dominate, with Monbeg Genius finishing third in the Coral Gold Cup. They just seem to have an edge, and that is pointing you towards Monmoral and Thunder Rock. And of those two, I prefer Thunder Rock. I think he's got a fantastic chance here. And I'm quite keen to do some sort of a combination, get your betting account closed with various different bookmakers, scumbag tricast. And I've got Fugitive and Il Rodado in there. Look, it's not original, but it might just land a nice little bit of gravy. I can see the way this race is going to pan out, that those three would fight out the finish. Monmoral might blow them all away if Paul Nichols's bullishness is to be taken seriously, but I can't get away from Thunder Rock. I think he's got a great chance. The only thing I don't like about him is his price. He's currently top price 7-2. I wouldn't advise backing him now. I'd hold mad tough until Saturday morning, when, if you can actually get best odds guaranteed, you'll probably be able to take advantage of that, assuming you can. And also, maybe bookmakers on the Saturday morning, in a desperate attempt to try and get your business, will just push him out that little bit more, because I can see him going off 7-2, 3-1, being a really well-backed horse just before the off. But you might get a little bit of value Saturday morning. So Thunder Rock is who I'm with. Sounds like it's going to be Joseph O'Brien, though, for you with Fakir Duderie.
No, I'm a huge. I'm a huge Thunder Rock fan. I can say, and a bit of association with Ollie, and I think it's an absolute cracking opportunity. I'm the same with you. Second season novice. The race suits him. Good performance up at Carlisle. The horse he beat that day, and the horse that beat him his last run last year. The form has been hugely franked. It all points towards a big opportunity for him here, and I think he can take it. I just think that Fakir Duderie has a really good chance of blowing all your stats sort of out of water in this race. I think he's got a really good each way chance anyway in this.
Yeah, I'm naive enough to have actually believed that statistics saying that horses haven't won a race and such was a hard and fast rule to just completely avoid those horses. Don't go near them. That's only telling you what's happened before or how long ago it is since something won a race. It doesn't mean that that's how it's actually going to play out. And if he's back to the horse he was 2 seasons ago, he would blow this field to pieces. That's the question, though. Has Joseph O'Brien got him back to that level? Christmas racing previews on the way. We'll break down all the best of the weekend's action with Katie Young and George Gorman as well. George and Katie have been providing some fantastic insight on the show. And of course, William has as well. If you like this, likes, shares, subscribes on YouTube, I believe. Is that right? Are we allowed to confirm this? We've hit a whopping number of subscribers on YouTube. We're up to 18 subscribers. This is amazing. 18 subscribers on YouTube. We're very new to the YouTube game, so any little help, just a little sympathy subscription, be much appreciated. Thanks very much. But thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. William and I back a little bit more as we build up to the Christmas racing next week on the Final Furlong podcast. Best of luck for the weekend. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.